It's the Brahmas at the Battlehawks for the XFL crown. St. Louis, the 3-point home favorite here. Total sits at 44. Forecast looking loud with a chance of deafening false starts on third down. Let's look at the coaching matchup here first. Wade Phillips on one sideline, Anthony Becht on the other. Anthony Becht, 3-0 against Wade Phillips in spring football. Might be one of his biggest accomplishments. I'm sure he never imagined going 3-0 against somebody the caliber of Wade Phillips in his first 2 years as a spring football head coach. So hats off to Anthony Becht and his staff for that. Are we seeing maybe the young guy, the young gun, the apprentice, being able to dominate the master here? Wade Phillips, are you going to take that? Your staff has got to make a statement this weekend and punch back. Is this going to be the spot? Let's look at the philosophies. 2 different ones on offense, but they both love to air it out, is the similarity. Battlehawks, 60% pass rate on the year. A.J. Smith and the Brahmas air raid, they throw it just as often. 58% pass rate for the ones in yellow. Now, the storyline heading into this one is unfortunately not what I would make it, which would probably, if I had a choice, be Brandon Silvers is the St. Louis reserve quarterback, and he knows the damn playbook from San Antonio from front to back. Nobody's talking about that. Does anybody care? Probably not. I'm probably the only idiot who cares, but that can make a difference. The actual storyline seems to be this: the extracurriculars after the whistle. Brahma's defensive back Tez Tabor told Greg Luca of the San Antonio Express News this week, and I quote, "AJ is a quarterback. If the quarterback doesn't play, we win. So the object of the game is for him not to play. We're coming Sunday." He also added, he told AJ himself to his face, anytime it's a legal hit, he's trying to inflict bodily harm on him. We saw the exchange after the game between those two. It almost felt like a NASCAR confrontation in the pit stall that you would see post-race. AJ goes up, animated, voices his concerns. He's mic'd up, cameras are rolling, and Tabor just kept bumping his gums the whole time. He did not back down from the intensity that he showed during the game. So that's a bold move, Tease. Maybe he was just teasing, boys. I don't know. Bad pun there. But we'll see if it pays off for the San Antonio defense. I mean, in my opinion, if you thought it was a legal hit, why don't you just tell AJ that? Why don't you just walk up and say, it was a clean hit, dude, sorry, and walk away? But it's not what he said. He said he was going to hurt him next week. So, and then he doubles down in the media. I don't know, man. This is interesting. Welcome to the UFL, right? Get your popcorn out. And we're going to have thoughts from Steven Gonzalez, the left guard for the Battlehawks, whose main goal is to protect A.J. McCarron this weekend, and get his thoughts on that coming up here. Guys, I think a safe bet would be to find out who Tez Tabor might be matched up with on Sunday and expect that player, that receiver, to maybe have a couple touchdowns, because I know A.J. McCarron, and when he said, that's fine, and walked away, oh, it wasn't really fine. It wasn't fine at all with him. And he's not happy about some of this after the whistle stuff. And I don't want to focus on just Tabor. Garrett Nelson pulled some crap, too, after the whistle. And, guys, we're here to have a football game, not a tables, ladders, and chairs match. It's not the WWE. So let's play within the rules. Let's have a fair football game. You know, let's hope the refs do their job. Now that's over. Back to the X's and O's here. Again, San Antonio only put up 12 points last week. However, they got the passing game going in the second half. They had 7 pass plays of more than 15 yards last week. It's really good. And it's a promising stat when you look at this upcoming game. Ultimately, they get the conversion overturned. Santoso misses the field goal to win it. Battlehawks fans exhale. Can you imagine, as a Battlehawks fan, if you start the year in week 1 with what happened at Michigan with Jake Bates, and then you end the regular season the same way? That had to be a huge exhale when he missed that kick. It would have killed him to lose that way. But Jontre Kirkland took over that game in the second half. and he's on an absolute tear, and he's got to be pissed off about the conversion that he would have got the octopus, right? He would have had the touchdown and the 2-point conversion to win it. What a moment that would have been. He was snubbed from all UFL. What are we doing there? Like, there's no guy who's more motivated than John Trey Kirkland to win this game. But he's got to find out who his quarterback is first. And all signs are pointing to Quentin Dormady. Chase Garbers re-injured his wrist during the game early last week. He was limited in practice. He is listed as questionable. Don't have an official depth chart at showtime right now, but all signs point to Quentin Dormady. My main question is, will it be a short leash? Because they've done this before, where they've rotated the two when Chase has been healthy. I know the staff loves Chase Garbers. He was the starting quarterback in week 1 for a reason, right? But it doesn't mean they hate Quentin Dormady. He's just not their first option unless Chase Garbers is not 100%. And he's not 100%. So this is going to cause a dilemma from Wade Phillips. You know, do you play Garbers hurt? Do you have a better chance with Dormady, who might also not even be 100%? He was hurt a couple weeks ago. Speaking of injuries, Anthony McFarland, John Lovett, probably the best 1-2 tandem at running back in the league when they're healthy, should be ready to go this week after sitting out week 10. But I do trust this Battlehawks defense. I think they're solid at each level. Secondary was awful against Arlington, but they had a bit of a bounce back last week in the Dome. They didn't allow a pass touchdown for 58 minutes of that game. The run defense is stout for St. Louis. So if McFarland and Lovett are back, expect them to be catching passes out of the backfield. Said this last week, say it again, uphill battle for the San Antonio Brahmas to get to 20 points in this matchup. I don't think they get there on Sunday. And it's just going to be super tough if you're betting this over again, which looked good last week, looks maybe good again with 2 decent quarterbacks, but I don't know. So that leaves us with the St. Louis offense. What do we think? This is San Antonio's only shot, is leaning on their defense. They have to replay that same exact game they had against Birmingham. They pressured the quarterback. They made open field tackles. And their signature from Will Reed is that third down defense. This third down defense is record good. Teams have tried 116 third down attempts on San Antonio. Guess how much they've converted? 37. That's like 1/3. That's a great percentage. And the Battlehawks fell victim to that last week. They were only 2 of 12 in third down conversions. So, if you're a Battlehawks fan like TPG, and you're worried because after 2 weeks of suffering through Manny Wilkins, you got back to A.J. McCarron, you had high expectations, and it didn't happen the way that you hoped it would and the way that you hoped it would look like. I'm with you. I bet them 2.5, minus 2.5 last week, thinking AJ would come back and light it up. I thought they dropped 25, but the offense flopped. However, it's not time to panic yet. AJ's okay. Hakeem Butler and Ja'Cour Pearson are still 2 of the best receivers in spring football. Bruce Gradkowski knew exactly what he was doing last week. When you have a defense as good as St. Louis has, you play defense, you ride the clock out, you hold San Antonio scoreless through the first half. It's not time to run it up. Save that for the playoffs. You got a ton of wrinkles you could potentially add. And I know we've seen all year AJ interject and dial up some audibles when he doesn't like the play call. Didn't do that all that much last week because why burn him now? When your defense was playing so well throughout the game, you have to adjust to the game. They slowed the pace down. AJ did have a red zone pick, which concerned me a little bit, but it wasn't anything like week 3 where we had 55 total points between these two teams. This is not going to be 13-12, so don't count on that again. This is going to be won or lost by the effectiveness of the San Antonio defense against the run and the pass. Bad news for them, half the starting secondary out with injury. So one of these Battlehawks receivers, pick your poison, is about to have a day. Want to bring the boys back in to analyze who that might be for the St. Louis Battlehawks offense against the number 1 scoring defense in the Brahmas. TPG, you're high on a certain player from this St. Louis offense to get you going as a Battlehawks fan here in the playoffs.
So before we get to that, I just want to say I'm really happy AJ came back last week. With him hurt the past couple weeks, I was really nervous that his first game back was going to be the playoff game, which we saw even last week. He had some rust to knock off. So I'm really happy he came back last week, and that's awesome. But I think this is a great week for Ja'Cour Pearson. His stats have been very underwhelming this year, only 181 receiving yards and a touchdown.
Just chill, though.
But OC Bruce Gradkowski, to foreshadow this a little bit, got really creative with how he was going to scheme to get Peasy open. That little Texas route Peasy had out of the backfield for a gain of what was that? 15-plus yards?
Nice
That
play.
was awesome. Yeah. That was awesome. So I love Bruce Gradkowski to, get creative and get his playmakers the ball.
So creative. Him and AJ, and we've seen this on the documentary last year, Player 54. Him and AJ will sit there all night, and they'll scheme up plays. And now you've got Manny Wilkins and Brandon Silvers in that room with you. All right, I'm going to throw this question out there. Zook, I'm going to ask you first, because we talked about this before TPG made his live in-studio debut. It doesn't matter at all that Brandon Silvers is in this room and knows the playbook.
Yeah, it does. We already know that.
How many points is it worth? Betting.
I don't know. I don't think it's worth that many.
Do you care, TPG, about that at all? Does that make a difference to you? Or am I just out of left field here?
I mean, yeah, back in week 3, it seemed like St. Louis had them figured out. Garbers didn't even complete a pass over, 10 yards?
They didn't have a pass play over 15.
So, I mean, I think that's a testament to Brandon Silvers being on St. Louis and, knowing the ins and out of that A.J. Smith offense.
He really does. And, you wonder how clever A.J. Smith has had to get, right, without having Brandon Silvers there. Maybe I'm crazy, but it is something that we've looked at before. Maybe by the third meeting, it doesn't matter. So back to the St. Louis offense, TPG. You're talking highly about Peasy. We've seen Hakeem Butler, Offensive Player of the Year. Obviously, he struggled without AJ, but kind of sort of got back to form last week. I think he had a couple big catches. Where's Darius Shepard been? Because I'm curious if Darius Shepard is simply turning into a return specialist, or is he somebody that's going to make a play? Is he due here in this game?
It's kind of tough because, him and Peasy, they split time in the slot. So, but he's going to make an impact where he can. If he gets in, nice little drag route across the middle, he's going to make that play, whether it's on offense, whether it's on special teams. He's a playmaker. So, yeah, he's going to contribute any way he can, no matter what phase of the game it's in.
How much does it concern you with the San Antonio secondary, right? Because we look at the makeup of this group, they've been battered all year with injuries. Probably the only reason their top corner, Darius Phillips, was left off of all UFL was because he was hurt for a lot of the season. Now he's back. They lose the second corner in Bo Pete Keys, right? They lose A.J. Hendy, their veteran free safety, to injury for the rest of the year now. So Tez Tabor has stepped up in that safety spot. They actually cut him. You remember that, TPG? They cut him during the season and brought him back. Now he's starting. And you've got Jordan Mosley, who's been one of the best safeties in the UFL. Are you concerned with the depth of the secondary? How does St. Louis take advantage of that?
Yeah, I think they're going to definitely have their hands full. St. Louis has one of the best receiving corps in the league, from
probably
Hakeem Butler,
best,
Peasy, Shepard, even,
Aitman.
You get Aitman. Yeah, we haven't talked about
back
him
from
in
COVID,
weeks.
right? Yeah, he had
We
COVID.
haven't talked about him in weeks.
It's crazy.
He could be a guy that could easily get in the mix this week. So, yes, I think this Brahma secondary is going to have their hands full. And, like you said earlier, Tez Tabor making those comments to McCarron after the game, I think McCarron's out for blood this week. Brahma's secondary, beware.
I know. And Jake Sutherland, another guy. You saw how Jay Sternberger kind of went off against San Antonio. Is Jake Sutherland, who barely gets any targets, but if you look at the ones he does get, he catches them for touchdowns, right? They do draw things up for him. We haven't talked much about the St. Louis run game. I think the reason for that is because we don't expect much, right? Brahma's very solid front seven. We've heard from AJ before, playing against these linebackers, Devontae Beckett, Jordan Williams, is super tough. It's like a chess match. They're very good at stopping the run. They're physical. They fly around the field. They have speed. They call themselves the Rugrat Twins. They play together. And in this Will Reed defense, they've been phenomenal. So don't think the Battlehawks will run the ball all that much. Maybe we'll see some weird stuff from Ja'Cour Pearson, who actually took a carry. I think he took what almost looked to me like a zone play as a running back. Again, maybe trying to put some weird stuff on tape. Zook, let's get your thoughts a little bit here. I'm going to bait you here a little bit on this whole Tez Tabor situation. Is this something that the UFL should push? Is this must-see TV? Or are we just letting this go and saying, we really don't want this controversy? Because I heard, some major outlets talking about this, and it seems to be piquing people's interest.
Yeah, I mean, you can't give total access the way they do in the UFL and not really want this. That's exactly what they want. So,
what do you think the coaches think about Tabor's comments? If you're a coach, put yourself in their shoes. Is that something that you're like, you know what? Whatever riles my guys up and makes them play well? Or are you like, dude, you got to cut this out?
No, they love it because the whiteboard material or chalkboard material is everything.
Yeah.
That's you translate this to the NFL, like you don't say shit like this at all.
I was going to say, why is that? Why are guys not talking about things like this in the NFL?
Yeah, because they know. You don't make that mistake. You don't give somebody like, I don't know, that TB guy. What did he wear, 12?
He was at a UFL game this year.
You don't give him whiteboard material because he's going to shred you.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. This is tough. I don't like the comments. It's okay, but AG's that guy that you don't want to do that to. So, I kind of agree with TPG a little bit. Like, don't give him any ammunition on you.
Here's my thought. A.J. McCarron got hit dirty against Birmingham back in week 7, and he got hurt because of it. That's what this whole thing stems from, right? This ankle. Go rewatch the play from Carlos Davis. It's the same thing. Trying to take A.J. McCarron out of the game, who's the best quarterback in the league from a value standpoint, right? It worked. He played the rest of the game. They sat him week 8. They sat him week 9. Big situation week 10 coming into the Battle Dome. What happens in week 10? Players going after his ankle yet again. He's sick of it. He's fed up with it. And the fire that you guys just lit in A.J. McCarron is not something you want, especially when his mom, Mama Didi, on Twitter today saying, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, right? Even his family is fired up. This is personal, but it's not going to be decided by a late hit, by a penalty. This is going to be decided by the San Antonio defense. Do they have it in them to hold St. Louis? Let's make the pick, boys. It's the Battlehawks. It's the Battlehawks for me. I get it. San Antonio, number 1 scoring defense. And since week 3, when AJ hung 31 on them, they haven't given up more than 18 points since that day. That ends this week. Lean St. Louis to cover. No real edge on the total here. 25-17 type game for the Battlehawks. TPG, I know you're riding with me here.
This game's going to come down to coaching, and I'm more confident in Beck to make the better coaching decisions than Wade.
3-0 against them already, man.
So my pick, of course.
Oh, we got the headgear on the Boulevard tonight.
Caw. I want to make a little precursor statement right here. I will not be making a bet on this game. I have a 4.5 to 1 future on the Battlehawks to win that I took at the beginning of the season. So for this game, I'm solely just bunkering down and hoping my team can pull it out. Let's go Battlehawks.
Zook, before you make your pick, that's wild, by the way, that St. Louis was plus 450 in the preseason because I jumped in at plus 380 before the playoffs. What are odds makers doing? They should have adjusted that way more. That should have been 2 to 1.
You would think, but I think the health of AJ had something to do with that.
They overreacted because he's going to play. He is absolutely going to play. Right. He'll deal with it after the season. But Henry or TPG with plus 450, I have it at plus 380. I don't think Zook got in on the action yet because
I'm going the other way. San Antonio. We're going to take a river walk to the championship. You heard it here first.
Throwing the horns down.
Horns up. I think that defense is stout.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
And I think their defense is better than St. Louis's. And
I can sort of agree.
Offensively, San Antonio is a wild card.
I know.
And at any moment, they can hang 40 on you. And St. Louis is, like, for me, St. Louis's defense gives up a ton of yards. And the reason why I know is because there's, 6 Dragons on that defense. And that's exactly what they did
It's
last
supposed
year.
to be a good thing, Zook.
I know that, but
on.
that's what they did last year. They gave up a ton of yards.
Especially passing, yeah.
And it's the same feel.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's going to be an upset this weekend, and this is the one I'm taking.
Zook, I know you love McFarland and love it.
Yeah.
And not having them last week hurt. They still lost by 1 without those 2 guys. Probably get him back. Again, John Lovett, probable. He's playing. Anthony
Yes.
McFarland, questionable. 9 out of 10, I'm confident he's playing.
If McFarland plays, I'm taking money line.
Yeah.
But,
Let me ask you
I don't
about
know that yet.
I want to ask you about the receivers, though, because there's a guy you had your eye on for player props for anytime touchdown. That's not John Trey Kirkland. That might make an impact.
Yeah, Smith, all day, he's scoring a touchdown. Take that. Get right on that player prop,
Justin
please.
Smith.
Justin Smith, take
Yeah.
him.
I like it. No Latimer, right? It just
Yeah.
opens the door. It opens the door for more targets.
I mean, he's come out of nowhere, right? I mean, to me, he's come out of nowhere.
This is crazy to me because it's like Ja'Cour Pearson, all the defense. It's the Battle Dragons, and there's Zook.
my boy.
Against them.
I know.
Damn, man, what the hell are we doing?
We're-
TPG.
We're bringing real footage to you of what I really think. I mean,
I'm getting too comfortable calling him TPJ. Let me call him by his real name, the People's Gambler. Please go follow him because he's going to have a hell of a weekend rooting on his team. You got the headgear on. You've been to the Battle Dome. You've been in the trenches. You've loved this team since 2020, since Joe Powell took a kickoff back to the house in XFL 2020, right?
Yep.
So, is this the year for the St. Louis Battlehawks to bring a championship back to the city?
Hey, this is the greatest show on turf, part 2, baby. Let's go.